may work. Hold on. We're streaming. It's working right now. Good evening. It is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021, coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm, and with me, as always, is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
And of course. So last week, what I realized was that I didn't introduce you. What I said was, with me is my son. And then I said,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say Parker.
And then I said hello, Parker.
Right? Yeah.
I just answered it.
Yeah. I mean, because you knew it was coming. I mean, let's
We've done this too many times.
Right. Well, 61 to be exact. This is number 61. We're live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lammsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www. Does anybody know that everything starts with www for the World Wide Web? I mean, is that like everybody knows that, right?
Does everything start with www? I thought there were things that didn't.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not.
I thought there was another prefix that you could use.
We need our IT department. Lammsports.com. That's our webpage. So however you get there, doesn't matter. But www.lammsports.com. You can find links to the past shows and current trivia question on there. By the way, it's lammsports.com.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that everyone understands. And so, if you haven't seen this picture, this is somebody did something awesome. By the way, this is what we're going to talk about today. But somebody did something awesome and carried that rubber ducky with them to Ohio Stadium and put it in the middle of the field. I think it's the best thing I've ever seen. Maybe. Am I wrong?
Is it called Ohio Stadium?
Ohio Stadium. Yeah.
It's called the shoe, right?
The horseshoe. It used to be. So one end that has a flat. And I don't know which direction, which end of the stadium it is.
I know why it's called the horseshoe.
It's shaped as a horseshoe.
I thought that's what its name was, the horseshoe.
No. It's actually called Ohio
That's just
Stadium.
a nickname.
Yeah, that's the nickname because it was shaped like a horseshoe. And then
Ohio Stadium's such a boring name.
I mean, most stadiums kind of are a boring name.
That's fair.
So I mean that, but at least it has a traditional name. It doesn't have like I don't know, something.com.
Qualcomm Stadium.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Qualcomm, which used to be Jack Murphy Stadium, which was then Petco Park. I don't know what it is now. I have no idea what that is now, but I mean, that's ridiculous, right? We have a crap ton of sports things we're going to talk about. The Portland Timbers won their third straight. They beat Vancouver. There was a Formula One kerfuffle. I don't know if that's
to
right.
say the least.
I don't know if that's the right term, kerfuffle. I don't think that's probably toning it down. That's understating it a little bit.
They would call it an incident.
A racing incident in Formula One. And if you haven't watched Formula One, it is just getting awesome, and you really need to. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Really good.
USC fired their head coach, which all of us said, gosh, why did it take so long? I mean,
kind of.
I feel like everyone has said the same thing. How come now? But let's start the first segment. Let's do this first because this is how we earn our money, right? First segment of the show is brought to you by The Range. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof at The Range. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7. Sunday, 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show. And this weekend, by the way, if you happen to be in the Yakima area, on Saturday, they're having barbecue with a cop. And literally, it's the Yakima County Sheriffs and the Yakima PD and others. And you can go have a barbecue. They have a barbecue. You come out, and the policemen will be there. You can interact. You can talk. The other service dogs. It's a fantastic event, by the way. And they're raising money for charity. So that's at The Range. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. It's a lot of fun. And I'll
like
be there.
the idea. I do not like the name
Barbecue with a cop.
Barbecue with. I feel like it's unoriginal. Like barbecue with the bobbies or something like
I
that.
mean,
Find
you
a way to
could.
alliterate it
It,
and make it fun.
we're not.
French fries with the fuzz
We're
or Fridays with the fuzz.
we're not.
Like
We're not in England,
there's
so
a way
Bobby's.
here.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's gonna. I promise, it's a good time.
Yeah.
I'll be there too. So if you want to come out and say hi, to the Best Lamb Sports Show, we'll be there. Probably should be
What
something
about ribs with the pigs?
ribs with the pig, right? Pig has something to do with.
Can I
I
get a
don't.
marketing job?
I
Dang it!
feel like pig is a derogatory comment, and they won't like that.
No,
But
but they can call themselves that. Other people
absolutely right, absolutely.
can't.
I
Yeah.
think
So when it's their event,
yeah,
it's just
you
have a little good humor
you
about it.
can say what you want when it's your event, right?
That's right.
Let's talk about the largest sporting story of the weekend, without a doubt, and maybe of the year so far.
Mm-hmm.
The Oregon Ducks made history on Saturday by beating Ohio State in Columbus, 35-28. It was Oregon's first ever win against the Buckeyes in 10 tries. Ohio State hadn't lost a home game since 2017, and it was the first win by a Pac-12 team over a top 10 team on the road. I mean, that seems like a lot of qualifiers, but it was the first win over a top 10 team on the road since USC beat Ohio State in 2009. I can't say enough good things. I still feel like they gave up 28 points and they probably shouldn't have, but Anthony Brown looked good. I was bad mouthing him last week and I feel bad about it.
Well, I remember. I
Yeah,
was there for it.
I feel like he
You
was
was a hater.
his decision. he was only 17 of 35, but his decision, no turnovers, didn't throw an interception. His decision making, when to run, when to throw, and where to throw it was good. I'll take an incomplete pass over an interception any day of the week.
Right. And he had a couple, like, 3 or 4 of those were deep shots that
Yeah.
were just intentionally designed to string out
just a stretch.
the defense, and maybe something happens. But if it doesn't, whatever, keeps him honest.
He made really good decisions. And so the question I have for you, and I asked you earlier, but I'm going to ask you again. C.J. Verdell rushed for 161 yards on and had 2 touchdowns, and he caught a 14-yard touchdown pass from Brown. Right. He looked fantastic. Is he suddenly, you think, if you're a Heisman voter, is he on the Heisman radar now?
If you're a Heisman voter, he's as much on the radar as 30, 40 other people are. He's now where he might not have been last week, but he is now. He's like the way you said it's right. He is on your radar. But does that mean that he's any sort of favorite? Does that mean that he's any sort of projected into like a top 10 thing? If you asked all these voters to make their top 10, I doubt he's still in it yet. However, a couple more 100-yard rushing weeks and multi-touchdown weeks, you start to look at it and go, man, this guy is doing a lot and did a lot, and he's done a lot over the last few seasons. He's been incredible. So I think this game catapulted him onto people's list. I just don't know if it's putting him anywhere near like true contention yet. But it's so early. Those guys don't, the people who vote for this sort of thing don't even have to make those kinds of decisions yet. They don't even really have to think about it in terms of who's my top 5 and whatever. So
you got about 8 or 9 more weeks before you have to start really narrowing it down.
Right.
So let's just say that one of those things that you got to have a Heisman trophy is a Heisman moment. You have to have that one play that kind of defines you and stands out in voters' minds, and they remember that. And this moment right here, I'm going to play for you right now, is C.J. Verdell's Heisman moment for this year.
Since that Ohio State might bring a little pressure here. C.J. Verdell in the backfield. They give it to him. Watch out! C.J. Verdell at midfield. High stepping. Can the Bucks catch him? Verdell still running. Touchdown, Oregon. 77 yards on 3rd down and 3.
Dusted him.
That was an amazing play. I mean, that was one of those plays where everything just worked just right. And if you watched the game and you saw them break down that play, they sent Matavao in motion, the tight end, across, and it pulled the linebacker out. And literally, there was no one behind the line of scrimmage. All he had to do was break through the line, and he was going to get 20 yards guaranteed.
So what I'm hearing is Jim Moorhead, good play call.
It was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
Jim Moorhead was fantastic in this game, and you don't think about it. You don't. I mean, you normally it's not one of those things that you go out and go, okay, well, the offensive coordinator, blah blah blah. He was fantastic. He has beaten Ohio State before at Penn State when he was the offensive coordinator, and he knows he's like their kryptonite, I think. So he knew how to do it, and he had the right players, and it just this play was a fantastic example of that. Put Oregon up to 21-7 early in the third, and then you had Ohio State on their heels the rest of the football game. And I don't know. That was like almost like the game breaking play to me.
Right.
Yeah. So it was
If Moorhead has a good season with Oregon, do you think he opens himself up to be head coaching candidate for someplace like USC?
He's absolutely a head coaching candidate. The question is, I don't know about USC. I mean, I
mean, it'll probably be filled by the end of the season. Anyways,
I'm not sure anybody wants that job. You know who they're talking about? We'll talk about this in a minute because we got more about this. But you know, they're talking about is Luke Fickell from Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and I don't know. They're gonna try and pay him a truckload of money to come to USC, and I'm not sure I would do it. Even, you know what I mean? Because of the
Ohio
situation
State
you're in.
Why would you?
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that clip is courtesy of D4 Sports. Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt are on the call with Fox Sports, and I love Gus Johnson. Just we were talking about there. Gus Johnson gets so excited about things, and it makes you into the game.
He brings your energy level up a little bit.
Yeah,
it's definitely helpful.
He sucks you right into that game. You are now vested in that game. Oregon did all this without Kayvon Thibodeau, Drew Mathis, and Justin Flo on the defense.
I didn't even know we weren't going to have Justin Flo, and then they're starting the game and they're saying Justin Flo's out, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was a big deal because
when
he was the fill-in. He was the fill-in
Yeah.
for Drew Mathis, and then all of a sudden we don't have those two. I mean, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And Kayvon Thibodeau we knew was going to be day-to-day and a game-time decision, and that was, I guess, kind of expected that he wouldn't play. I mean, you didn't know for sure, but without those three players, I feel like that was a gigantic win. Noah Sewell had a great game, but let's talk about the player of the game, in my opinion. That's Verone McKinley.
Right.
He was everywhere. To include that interception at the end, it was an overthrown ball, sure, but he's there to catch it. You know what I mean? He was in the right place at the right time all game long, and that's what you want from a safety.
He was. He was. I don't know. I'm not. You kind of said everything I was going to say there. Yeah, I agree.
Mikhail Wright. How about Mikhail Wright?
Is he stepping up every single game so far? I mean, I know the first game they let up, some points, and it was whatever it was. But again, I think this goes back to what I said last week, that they were intentionally being bland, and they were intentionally maybe giving Ohio State false hope that this will be an easy win. Maybe that was all intentional. Maybe they screwed the point spread on purpose, just to make Ohio State feel a little more comfortable. And then they went out and put it to him. And Mikhail Wright played like that was the case. He played well above what he played in the first game, and he even still played really well in that game. So they're doing really well.
Yeah, that Mikhail Wright had the dubious honor of covering Chris Olave for the whole game.
That's kind of a crappy situation.
Yeah, that's a no-win situation. Olave's going to get his catches. He's, you can only hope to contain him. You can't stop him. And
yeah, he's really good.
The offensive line played well. There were no sacks, right? And
we were getting the ball out really fast. We weren't holding onto it very long, which is huge.
And I think that's Moorhead again. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's realizing they got a big pressured front. Like, we can't hold on to this. Get rid of it. I'm sure that was an emphasis for Brown at practice all week. Is if you hold this ball longer than 1.82 seconds, I'm going to yell at you. You're going to run laps.
And Ohio State only had one tackle for loss the whole game, which is fantastic. I mean, normally Oregon makes some stupid mistake and does something in the backfield. Let's be honest.
True.
Does something in the backfield that loses 6 or 7 yards. But just one tackle for loss, no sacks. Oregon averaged 7.1 yards per carry and 13.9 yards per catch. Their offense was fantastic. It literally was fantastic.
And yet it still paled in comparison, yardage-wise, to what Ohio State did.
Yeah, and C.J. Stroud is the real deal in a losing effort. Throws for 480, and he was there. I mean, but he had to throw the ball damn near every down because they were ahead.
Well, yeah, we got up by 2 scores, 21-7, and then panic mode is setting in for
Yeah.
Ryan Day, thinking, man, am I going to lose this Ohio State job if I can't beat this team? And they started being a little arrogant and trying to air it out, which is exactly what Oregon wanted, was to make Stroud beat him with his arm.
And fourth down defense, they were 2 of what, 5 or 6. They went for it. They were in a position where they literally, the first half, they were in a position where they said, oh, you know what, we need to establish ourselves. It's fourth down and 1 or 2. We need to go get this because we're Ohio State.
Yeah, we need to prove that we're the bigger, tougher team.
And I get that. I'm with that. You know what I mean? We are the team that's favored. We are the home team. We should be making these plays. But in the second half, they were forced to go for it on fourth down. And they
didn't have any choices.
There was no way. The Oregon defense was just ready for them. There was a play, Travion Henderson. They ran a play like an off-tackle right, Travion Henderson on fourth down and 2, and Noah Sewell's waiting for him. And you would think that if you stop your motion as a linebacker, the running back is moving forward, he's going to push you backwards. He didn't. It was like a stone wall. Yeah, it was like a stone wall. He hit Noah Sewell, and Sewell just grabbed him and threw him backwards. And I was like, oh, that's a statement. That was a big deal.
Oregon's defense probably has 3 to 4 capable first-round picks. They're probably only going to get 1 to 2. Probably, I don't know if Sewell can leave after this year, which I think he can. But Sewell and Kayvon are for sure going to be high-rated prospects. But they have a couple other guys, who are very, very capable. And it didn't look like it in game 1, and everyone was very much on their case. Pollsters were dropping them down in polls, and it became obvious in game 2 that was the plan.
And Mario Cristobal, we've talked some trash about him, but the recruiting effort clearly working. I mean, it's working in the Ducks' favor because he's getting the players he needs. Because without Drew Mathis, who went out in game 1, and then Justin Flo comes in, and now we're without Justin Flo and Drew Mathis at the same position, and it didn't matter. It just didn't. He has enough depth on that team that it's the next guy. It doesn't matter who it is. They're all good.
I don't think anybody's ever had any issues with his ability to bring in talent. I think last year was a weird year, with COVID and players opting out and things like that. I've never questioned that we have the talent on the roster. I questioned play calling for a while, but that's because Cristobal was calling offensive plays the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's not Cristobal anymore. It's Moorhead. And it looks really good.
Yeah, Moorhead's better. All right.
But we'll see. They got a cupcake this weekend, and then they move on to conference play.
Oregon plays Stony Brook, the Seawolves, who beat Colgate 24-3 for their first win of the season on Saturday. So they're 1-1.
I don't know if you guys caught that Colgate Stony Brook game.
Colgate,
pretty good.
I mean, it was probably right there on CBS Sports number 3. I don't know.
CBS Sports 7 online edition.
But I don't want to make fun of it because I mean anything can happen. But I mean still, it's Stony Brook. So you would expect a team who beat Ohio State at Ohio State to beat Stony Brook by 40. I'm just guessing. I don't know what the line is yet, but still.
Is this the hangover game?
Right, and you don't. Well, I'm glad it's Stony Brook and not a hangover game like Oregon
Stanford.
State. Or I mean, right, where you could, there's a chance that could be bad.
We've gotten caught by a Stanford or an Arizona or an Arizona State a couple times after a big game.
And you could probably play your third string team against Stony Brook and still win. It's fine.
You should.
Right. So anyway, I don't think we can say enough superlatives about how good Oregon was, and yet still it was a close game. You knew it was going to be a battle, but I just, you know what I mean? I wish they had throttled the Ohio State offense a little more completely, but they didn't. But anyway,
and we're not biased at all.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about something else. You ready? You ready? So let's talk about Oregon State. They got a win. Their home opener. They beat Hawaii 45-27 on Saturday. The Beavs B.J. Baylor rushed for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead Ohio State. I have OSU and I said Ohio State. Oregon State quarterback Chance Nolan threw for 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, Oregon State plays Idaho at home on the 18th before they begin conference play with a trip to USC on the 25th. So the Beavs,
Coachless USC.
yeah, well, the Beavs should be 2-1, and Baylor looked good. It is Hawaii, but I mean,
Right.
they didn't. This is a solid football team. I'm not going to say it. This is not Arizona, who I think is terrible. This
Right.
is a pretty solid Pac-12 team. Not going to be great. If you're expecting them to win 8 games, you're probably going to be hurting. Don't do that. This is a team that's going to win 6 at most, right? But they're already 1-1. They'll probably beat Idaho. That's 2-1. If they win 4 Pac-12 games, then good on you. But 6 or 7 is the ceiling probably for Ohio or for Oregon. I keep saying OSU. I keep saying
You
OSU.
gotta quit writing OSU down.
I
on the
know, right?
paper
It's for both of them.
When we just talked about
but
OSU.
I haven't called them Oklahoma State yet, so that's good.
It's true. It's very true.
And they have the same colors. Anyway, but they're playing USC on the 25th, which brings us to a whole nother thing, which is USC. Speaking of USC, they lost their conference opener at home to Stanford, 42-28. They lost their kicker on the first play of the game as he was ejected for targeting, and we'll show Parker Lewis in a minute. And then they lost their head coach as Clay Helton was fired on Monday. That's a bad week. And if you're looking at the picture right here, this is kind of how I feel USC's season has gone so far. But not a great look for USC. Certainly won't help them win any recruits this year. And it's bad for the Pac-12 to have a team that everyone thought was going to be the South champion look like this. Really. I'm gonna play for you the opening kickoff from this game so you can see how the kicker got ejected from the game.
The previous play is under review for a possible targeting foul.
I just want to see the replay. And there it was. So that's that clip is courtesy of Fox Sports. Is that to me seems like a total kicker move. I'm gonna throw my helmet at him, but not any arm or leg or trying to. Let me just see what I can do. He lowered his head, put his helmet on him.
First of all, we're not going to talk about his name. Is Parker Lewis?
Parker Lewis. He can't lose, but he did.
That's what
but
the heck?
He totally did. I know.
This kid has parents, and they 100% just overlooked that.
They
either overlooked it or saw it and went, that's not a problem.
I think his parents were from that time. And
it was only like a 3-year-long show, so it wasn't like it had a massive impact. But it's a name that you remember. When you hear it, you said Parker Lewis, and we watched this clip earlier together, but you didn't say his name. So that's the first time I heard his name, and I immediately kind of cocked my head sideways. I was like, wait a minute.
This is Parker Lewis, and he can't lose.
That can't be right.
Except he just did. I mean,
But the other thing I was going to say is that I've been at lots of football practices. I've watched what the kickers do during practice, and I'm going to tell you right now, it is not tackling ever. I have never seen a kicker tackle in practice. Not a practice dummy. They didn't even fake a scenario where there's a return and they might have to do something. Never. Kickers are like quarterbacks. They don't take hits. They don't give hits. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, they don't get paid for that.
So this guy did the absolute best with what he thinks he knows is right, having been a kicker for, I'm going to guess, high school through now. Let's assume he's a junior or so. So he's been a kicker for the last seven years or so.
Yeah.
And his best reference is, I just got to put this guy on the ground. I think I do it like this.
I mean, there was about 1,000 reactions he could have had, and I mean, any of them would have been better than let me just throw the crown of my helmet at this guy,
But see, that's good tackling form. There are guys who are linebackers and safeties who still screw up with that.
And he didn't hurt himself.
Now you're talking about a guy who is not either any of those things and has never had fear of spinal injury from a head hit like that. He's a horrible guy because he's fearless.
I'm gonna give him credit because he did not hurt himself.
He did not hurt himself.
That's the best thing
he
you
came
could
up
say.
quicker than half the Oregon players do lately.
He delivered the blow and he did what he needed to do. What he absolutely had to do to get that guy down. Although
it was just pretty miraculous.
Although I think that guy was going down anyway. But
he was stumbling, and that's another thing. He was stumbling a little bit. The guy, like he had just gotten his heel clipped, so he's kind of like leaning back. If he's standing up tall, is that helmet in the middle of the chest? I mean, he still drops his head, but that's because he's an untrained spear flying through the air, like undisciplined. He doesn't know that information. I feel like if you're a ref, you look at this and go, okay, well, it's the kicker. Can we?
I mean, right?
Can we understand that he probably has zero clue what he's doing, and he's probably more likely to hurt himself than anybody else?
You can hear it, right? You can hear it now. There is no flag on the play for targeting. It was the kicker.
It was the kicker.
Right.
That's right.
Let's just pick that
The
up.
kicker's not capable of targeting.
No, he really didn't hurt him and didn't do anything because the guy bounced.
Please
right
make that a rule set where they'll put the kicker in on like fourth downs and let him play
to
free
spear
safety.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
I mean, yeah, it was fun to watch though, just because you go first play of the game, and now you're without your starting kicker. He's gone. That's gotta hurt.
I see that they didn't throw a flag on the play.
No.
They stopped it from above and reviewed it.
Yeah.
Which means some dude was up in the booth, some referee was up there and goes, "Hold on.
Wait,
did that just happen?" And then he just rewinds it with this little DV Sports thing that they have, this little controller that they have up in their booths. He rewinds and goes, "Holy crap, I think that kicker just tried to kill him."
I mean, that's not something. It is not something you see very often. So I imagine it probably was a surprise for everybody.
He calls down to the ref and goes, "Hey Bob, we got a situation."
If you're sitting in the stand, but if you're sitting in the stands, I mean, think about it. If you're sitting in the stands at an Oregon game, and all of a sudden the previous play is under review for targeting, you're going to be
there's
looking.
No flag on the field. You go, "What?"
Yeah,
for?"
you're going to be looking at every player. They're going to show the replay. You're going to be looking at everything on the field, and then you go, "How's our kicker? How's our kicker get charged with targeting?"
I would look at everyone but the kicker. I'd be
right?
like, "What'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? You're out of here. I know you didn't do anything."
It was fun to watch, though. I'm not going to lie. That was when I heard that, I said, I need to see this.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
The rest
Do
of
you think the kicker getting ejected is definitely related to Helton getting ejected?
Maybe because he didn't train his special teams well. I don't think that's
walked into the AD's office, and the AD's like, "I've been watching football for 60 years. I've never seen a kicker ejected. What are you doing here?
maybe
what are you teaching these kids?"
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's. I don't know. I'm not sure that the two are related, but I laughed so hard.
I
like
to think that they might be.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Let's talk about the rest of the Pac-12 for a minute, shall we? Washington went to the Big House, lost to Michigan 34-10. They're 0-2.
Sounds like an afternoon.
Number 21, Utah lost to BYU at Provo 26-17. Is now unranked at 1-1.
It's tough. That's not good for the Pac.
BYU's a good team, and they play Arizona State next, by the way. So
watch them beat two Pac-12 teams back to back and make us look worse.
Colorado hosted number 5 Texas A&M, and they played a great defensive game. Absolutely,
it was fantastic.
As good as you can get, leading 7-3 until late in the fourth, and then losing 10-7. I thought it was a great effort by Colorado. If they could have just scored a touchdown at some point, another one. I don't know.
I mean, you played SEC level defense against an SEC team.
That was an SEC game.
You held them to one touchdown.
Yeah, that was a classic SEC game, 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7. Classic Alabama LSU game.
Cal dropped to 0-2 with a loss to TCU on the road, 34-32, but they were in that game until the end also, which is good on the road for Cal, but they're still 0-2.
The problem is the losses add up. It doesn't – at the end of the day, in 2-3 weeks, when people are looking back at the Pac and they're saying, well, they're 0 they're 1 in whatever in conference and non-conference play. You forget how close some of these games were. You forget how close Colorado and Cal were. It just goes away.
Cal went for 2. Went for 2 to try to tie the game with 4:09 left after they scored, and they couldn't get in. TCU took the kickoff. They just ran out the clock. Cal couldn't stop
as
them.
they should. They should.
Right. Number 23, Arizona State won 37-10 over a bad UNLV team, let's be honest, to move to 2-0. And like I said,
I know the strength coach at UNLV. I like to think that no matter how bad they are, those dudes are in good shape.
They're strong. They're just bad.
Yeah. They're just not disciplined at football, I guess.
So they play BYU, like I said, next, and that'll be interesting to see how that game shakes out. If they can beat Utah, then why can't they beat Arizona State, right? In theory. Washington State won an easy game at home against Portland State, 44-24 to get to 1-1. It was fun to watch Portland State play again because it's the first time I had seen them since 2019.
Yeah,
and it was. I recognize some of the people still. Davis Alexander still the quarterback.
I feel like he's gonna be the quarterback there for like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, he gets an extra 7
And he's
years,
got
right?
that COVID year.
Yeah, yeah.
So he probably hasn't used that yet because he was a junior, I think, the last year, and then he gets a COVID year. So this is his junior year, plus he has a senior year coming.
It was good though. I mean, it was good to watch. Other scores. So, Arizona, probably the worst team in the conference. They lost at home to San Diego State, 38-14, to fall to 0-2. Arizona's not good, but we knew that already because what's his name drove him into the ground. Now they got a brand new coach, and what's his name? Dang it, Kevin Sumlin. Yeah, Kevin Sumlin. Let's be honest. Kevin Sumlin would not be a NCAA head coach without Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel saved his job at Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, he kept him. He kept him alive.
Right.
Well, that Johnny Manziel team, people have to remember that team was not like 12-0. They were like 10-2.
I think worse than that.
It might have been 9-3.
Yeah.
But they beat Alabama in
Right.
a very contested, long offensive game. But it just, you're right. Johnny Manziel kept that man in contention for jobs, but that's wearing thin now.
Right. And that was Mike Evans. That was Mike Evans that kept Johnny Manziel in the Heisman discussion.
Johnny had to do some things in the backfield, but but it's just like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has to do the meat, get out of the sack, get out of the trouble, and then the potatoes are the easy part because Lockett's going to handle it from there.
Potatoes are the easy part. I like that.
So yeah, Johnny Manziel was the meat of that team, and Mike Evans is the potatoes. That's a weird analogy for human beings.
Meat and potatoes.
Call somebody the meat and potatoes.
I like it. Other scores of note over the weekend. Number 8 Notre Dame survived another scare, this time from Toledo, but won 32-29 to move to 2-0. How bad is your football team that you beat Toledo 32-29 and the team that you beat in week 1 lost to Jacksonville State at home? So just be prepared. Notre Dame's not going to – they fell. They're number 12 instead of number 8, which is they should have. They should fall further than that. I don't think they're that kind of football team to be even in the top 15. But they're not going to fall much further because the rest of their schedule is you know what I mean? They're going to play Cincinnati. They're going to play Cincinnati, and that's going to be a teller.
We'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. Number 10, Iowa. Beat number 9, Iowa State on the road, 27-17. I still think Iowa State was a way overrated number 9 or what were they to start, number 8. They barely beat Northern Iowa, and then they get beat by Iowa. I think Iowa's been the beneficiary of getting 2 ranked wins now. They beat Indiana on the road. Indiana. I was reading the uniform.
Indiana. No,
Indiana.
That's. I cannot even explain how much of a colossal screw up that is. Like that's disrespectful to the state. That was disrespectful to the university. That's just a huge ball drop.
I hadn't even planned on talking about it yet, but yeah, they beat Indiana. I mean that I don't even if it was just the one jersey. It doesn't even matter if it was just the one jersey. It's the one that got on national television.
Well, I keep seeing pictures of just the one jersey.
Right. I think it was just the one.
I need to watch more game film to find out if there are other
more
ones.
than one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just the one jersey so far. It's still, man. I get that you have 120 some odd athletes with 120 different jerseys, but man,
quality control, guys. You gotta have.
There's an equipment manager guaranteed, or an assistant, or a seamstress who works for the equipment manager,
right?
So who's going to get fired? Portland State, as a good reference point, our seamstress is this lady named Judy, who's super nice, who lives in a retirement community, who just wants to support Portland State.
But she's
friends with Booth Barnum, and we just go drop off stacks of jerseys, and she's like, "Oh, I'll have them back to you next week."
But she's never misspelled Portland. So
yes, it was never Portland.
Right? Yeah. Portland. You know what I mean?
Portland.
I mean, I don't know.
Never happened.
Indiana. It's not even the right number of letters. It's not even.
I'm just saying.
The right
Portland
letters.
State outsourcing their jersey stuff to a retirement community is still better than what Indiana's got going on at their university.
Oh my goodness. So that's a thing. Where was I? Number
We got so off track.
Number 11, Penn State beat Ball State 44-13. Number 15, Texas was humiliated at Arkansas, 40-21.
Yeah,
Welcome
bad.
to the SEC, by the way. And
That's what they said on their Twitter. Texas or Arkansas did.
and Parker, what do we know about Texas?
They're not back
They are not back.
until next week when they win, and then we'll say
then they'll
they
be
are
back.
back.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yep. Then they'll be back for sure.
Number 24, Miami used a late field goal to beat Appalachian State 25-23 at home.
And then acted like they earned that win.
Acted
time.
like it was a big deal. And I'm like,
you got spanked
you
by
don't even
Alabama,
understand.
barely snuck by Appalachian. You think you're anything?
right, and shouldn't be
That's
ranked.
tough, man.
Every other game in the top 10 or top 25 was a blowout. So I'm not even we're going to talk about.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, right? NCAA games this week in week 3. There are some games that are notable or that you should watch. Nebraska plays at number 3 Oklahoma at 9 a.m. on Fox. That is chance number 3 for Scott Frost to lose his job.
It's true.
Number 8.
I don't know why you're calling that notable then. Like the team's
Well, it's
not
true.
good.
It happens
He's just
every
gonna
week.
get spanked.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
true.
but they're going to get clobbered by Oklahoma, and you know they are
Yeah.
in a non-conference game. Number 8 Cincinnati plays at said Indiana at 9 a.m. on ESPN. This was the ranked Indiana team at the beginning of the season that lost to Iowa. Michigan State plays at number 24 Miami that we just talked about at 9 a.m. on ABC. Which one of those games you want to watch? It doesn't really matter. I think all 3 are going to be blowouts. I don't think Miami is going to stand a chance against Michigan State. So you pick your poison, whichever game you're most interested in. Purdue at number 12 Notre Dame at 11:30 a.m. on NBC on the Notre Dame network. Purdue's 2-0, so this could be the first real test for Notre Dame of a team that's actually has won a couple games. So that might be good. Number 1 Alabama plays at number 11 Florida, 12:30 p.m. on CBS. That's the first test for Alabama this year. Because Miami, let's be honest, Miami, number 14 Miami, when they played them, oh, come on. Miami's terrible.
Yeah. Miami's terrible.
But Florida normally is a good team. We'll see what happens. USC plays at Washington State at 12:30 on Fox. That'll be interesting to me to see how USC reacts with the brand new head coach, interim,
yeah.
as it be. And Washington State is another interesting team. I don't know that they're any good. I just don't. Number 22 Auburn at number 10 Penn State, 4:30 p.m. ABC might be the game of the week. You might want to tune in and watch that one. If you
That's the one that I'm keyed in on.
Yeah, if you watch nothing else, that's probably going to be a good football game. And then number 19 Arizona State at number 23 BYU is the 7:15 ESPN game, which also should be good. Obviously BYU is good enough to beat Utah, but we'll see if they're good enough to beat Arizona State. We just don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. That's all I know. Let's go to the trivia question. Are you ready? Because the trivia question precedes the next segment.
I was just wondering if you had a trivia question because I went and found one for you.
No, I'm good. I got this one. Are you ready?
Well, you tell me this one, then I'll ask you mine at the end.
Okay,
later.
I like it.
Yeah.
Trivia question. The Stave and Stone trivia question is: what is the worst record that has ever made the Major League Baseball playoffs? Because we're about to talk about Major League Baseball.
Can you give or take me like
a game or two?
Like five? We'll say five. 5 games either
That's a
way.
lot of games, dude.
It's an 160.
So,
no, it's not a lot.
Section 1 of this question is what is the worst record? Section 2 is what team and what year? And so if you get those right, I would give you some points. But it's a lot. It's a lot like whose line is it anyway. The points don't matter. So.
Right.
But while we're talking about that, let's look at the American League standings in baseball right away. Toronto is the hottest team in baseball. Although they lost tonight, they've won 11 of 13 to be where they are. They're tied with the Yankees for that wild card position. Now, there's 2 wild card teams. They're going to play each other in a wild card game to see who gets in to the playoffs, basically. And so right now it would be New York versus Toronto. Boston is just a game back. So those 3 teams are vying for 2 playoff positions. And then you have Seattle, who's 3 games back? They have a chance. Oakland's 3.5 back. It's tough right now.
Not great.
Not great. Not a good look for anybody but one of those, 2 of those 3, Yankees, Toronto, Boston. It's Vladimir Guerrero, who hit his 43rd home run of the season last night, or the night before last. And That's more than his dad ever hit. If you watched Vlad Guerrero Sr. play for the Expos. Anyway, he leads the American League in home runs and batting average, and he's third in RBIs. So he has a chance to win a Triple Crown, a legitimate chance to be a Triple Crown winner. Probably still won't win the American League MVP because Shohei Ohtani pitches and hits home runs.
Yeah. the whole package.
No, he's the real deal. Let's look at the National League real quick, and there you have the worst division in baseball, and that's the NL East. Atlanta leads by 4.5 games, probably going to win that division. Then you have Philly at 500 and the Mets at 2 games. That's terrible. Milwaukee leading the Central, and then you have the division. The Dodgers and the Giants still battling for the division championship, right? Basically, they're 2 games, 2.5 games, give or take, off from each other. San Diego still has a chance to make the playoffs, but right now it's St. Louis as a wild card team with either San Francisco or LA, whoever doesn't fit in. So a lot of baseball is still to be played. We're looking at 146 games. There's still about 16 games left. We'll know more later. The interesting part is if you look at the Yankees schedule for the rest of the season, and I'm not sure I can get to it, by the way. Let me try. Let me show you. If you look at their schedule for September, they play 3 at the Red Sox. After they got the Indians and the Rangers. Those are gimmies. 3 at the Red Sox, 3 at the Blue Jays. That's what's remaining out of their 15 games. 6 of those are against the teams that they're vying for a playoff spot for, and they're all on the road. That'll be exciting. We'll talk about it next week because that's when we'll know more. So
yeah, baseball's got some time left.
Baseball,
which, by the way, for the trivia question,
yeah.
Can I get a hint for the state for where they're from? There's too many teams.
We'll
do it later. We'll do it later.
We'll talk later. If
I was thinking about it just now.
all.
I've been thinking about it the whole time you were talking just now and giving the update. I'm like, who was it?
You still have time, so if you can't come up with it, it's fine. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Second half of the show, second segment, whatever, brought to you by BossKittyShop.com and BossKittyLive.com. That's Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Be sure to tune in. Did I say Bishu? Be sure to tune in. I did, right? Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun, fiber games, tutorials, and the occasional F-bomb. Go to BossKittyShop.com and get your DK and fingering weight yarns as well as stitch and progress markers. Looking for a gift for someone? Get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card. Let them pick it out themselves. That's the social distancing way to do it. That's Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So, second half of the show has got some stuff in it. We're going to talk about Formula One without either one of us getting angry. Because we've been fairly...
The last 3 conversations we've had, or not including today, the last 3 conversations we've had about big Formula One things have all ended up with us being mad.
Yeah. I think, and this is, I mean, it's been exciting. If you are not watching Formula One, tape it. Tell your.
You are missing something decent.
Tell your DVR to record Formula One racing. It's ESPN or it's ESPN2, and watch the qualifying on Saturday and the race on Sunday. That's all you really need to watch. The practice is garbage. I'm gonna admit. I don't watch it. I don't watch the practice rounds. That you can if you want to, but just watch the qualifying on Saturday. It comes on at like 6 in the morning because everything's in Europe, and then the race on Sunday.
Right.
This week was the Italian GP at Monza, and there's a feud. There's some. So Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are the top 2 drivers points wise. In Formula One right now, and there is a gigantic division going on right now between fans. Literally, they're separating down, and people are taking sides because there's a lot of stuff going on. And I want to play this collision that happened at Monza for you, so everyone can see. So we're on lap 26 of 53. Okay, and this is Lewis Hamilton in the black car, the Mercedes car, coming out of the pits, and Max Verstappen, who's on the track, and they're both going to be heading into turn 1 and 2, which is a chicane, which if you don't know what that means, it means it's like a right-left or a left-right.
Yeah.
But a quick series of 2 turns. This is what happened on lap 26 at Monza on Sunday.
Onto the racetrack now, and is he going to be ahead of Lando Norris? That's the big key. No, he's not. And there's Max Verstappen right behind Hamilton into the first chicane once again. It's wheel to wheel. Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out, and they are both out. As Hamilton came from his pit stop, rejoined the racetrack, Lando Norris was ahead, and in their desperation to stay ahead and to get ahead, the 2 championship protagonists have taken each other out of the Italian Grand Prix.
I said I wasn't going to play the whole thing, but I did.
Yeah, it sounded better.
So that was David Croft and Martin Brundle, who are from Sky Sports and F1 TV. That was them on the call of what was, to this point, the most maybe important. It meant nothing because both guys go out and nobody gets points, but it was probably the most important moment of the F1 season so far.
It was huge. It was absolutely huge.
Yeah.
It's going to set the tone for. It just elevates the contention between the 2 guys.
It does, and so by both guys going out, the points remain the way they were after qualifying. So this was one of those 2 of the 3 races. This was the second of 3 races this year where they used a sprint race to qualify for the main race. And the sprint race is like this one was, I don't remember how many laps, but the first one was 17 laps. It's, to be honest with you, it's too many laps. But
it's too many laps.
They used the race. They used this little sprint race to determine the qualifying positions for the main race. And you get points if you're the first, second, or third in the sprint race. You actually get championship points. Well, Verstappen was second behind Danny Ricciardo, and he got 2 points, and Hamilton was fourth. So he gained 2 points. He had a 3-point lead going in. It's now 5 coming out. So Verstappen remains, since they both crashed out, he remains 5 points ahead of Hamilton in the championship standings. Next race is at Sochi, Russia, and that's on the 26th, Sunday the 26th, which is not this weekend, but the following weekend. This race, because of the crash, Danny Ricciardo of McLaren was the race winner, and teammate Lando Norris finished second. Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes finished third. It was it's like a he said, she said kind of thing. Well, he didn't give me enough room. Well, he's crowding me in, or he's doing, but this is the same thing that's been going on every week, just about. And this one was a little more serious in that literally the right rear tire of Verstappen goes over the top of the cage of the halo of Lewis Hamilton, and the tire literally hit him on the helmet. Those halos didn't used to be there a few years back. This could have been a really serious injury at some point in time a few years ago, but safety has come a long way. But you can see that the halo literally dented Verstappen's car. That's how strong the halo is made. It's a titanium bar basically that goes around. But still, this is the kind of thing that's been escalating since we started the season, and I don't see it ending. How do we Verstappen's going to have a 3-place penalty, 3 grid place penalty for the next race because he, quote unquote, was predominantly at fault for the accident. How does F1 address this is the question. Is it going to be a talking to? Do they need to talk to both teams? Do they need to say, hey, settle down? Or do they just, is this great and let's just keep going is the question. Whoa. I may have lost you. You there?
Oh, hey, sorry about that. I think I lost you for a second.
Good.
Yeah, I lost you for a second. Ask the question again. One more time.
So how does F1 address this
issue? You said
issue?
Verstappen has 3-place penalty.
Yeah, he has got a 3-place penalty.
They don't. They let them kill each other on the track and film it and then sell the copies of that tape for millions and millions of dollars because that's where this is heading.
Yeah.
All right. Both of these guys are doing the same thing to each other. It is insane watching all the people who a couple weeks ago in Silverstone were saying Lewis tried to cut him on the inside. That's a jerk move. He got to let Max make the turn. And then this week they're like, Lewis, you need to give him space there.
Yeah.
Same thing, different place.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that these fans can't get together on it. They're both driving a little recklessly because they're both alpha males in their sport. Neither one wants to give an inch. I've said it 1,000 times to you off this. They're playing chicken and
Yeah.
they're forcing the other person to make a decision. That is dangerous. However, that's not our fault.
No.
That's not your fault. That's on them. If they want to play chicken every week and potentially kill each other and give us the most viewed season of F1 possible in the process, it is what it is. You know, I'd rather see both of them race for a long time, that sort of thing, but one of them's going to have to concede. One of them's going to have to stop pushing the other one so hard. But Lewis Hamilton's a champion, right? He's got this big lineage behind him, or this big hair, or this big streak behind him. He's been fantastic for a long time. He's carrying a lot of weight. Verstappen's trying to prove himself as the new guy, the new big dog. He's got family lineage behind him, and he's got the support of one of the fastest cars, the fastest teams out there. So it's just this is a classic instance of a young guy, you know, not being willing to concede to an older person, or vice versa, an older person not being willing to concede to a younger person, and we're ending up like this. We're ending up with Verstappen crashed, you know, at Silverstone, and we're ending up with both of them crashed here. We're surprised. We're lucky it hasn't been worse at previous points.
Right.
But most races, as you know, aren't that close. They're
No.
not that close to each other. This is just you said it earlier. This is a freak incident where Lewis had to come out of the pit perfectly.
Yeah.
To make this happen. Verstappen had to be coming around that corner perfectly to make this happen.
And
it's a miraculous moment.
And just so everyone knows, I mean, if you've never watched Formula One, a pit stop in Formula One takes anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds to change all 4 tires. They don't take fuel because they fuel up at the beginning. There are no fuel pit stops. They stopped that because a few years back someone caught
I think
fire.
they stopped in 2010.
Yeah, someone caught fire in the pits trying to refuel. So they stopped that. So basically you start with the amount of fuel you need to finish. So just tires and or repairs is all they come in for. And it's usually just tires. When they swap out tires, it takes, you know, there's like 12 guys, and it takes 2.2 seconds or something like that to change all 4 tires and get a guy out. Wouldn't that be awesome to be able to pull into like Oil Can Henry's and go, hey, change my tires. Boom. And I'm done. But
yeah, I ding the bell and I pull into Oil Can Henry's, and they just kind of look at me.
or
like
Les Schwab. I mean, Les Schwab's better, but I mean, you know, anyway. So what happened was Verstappen had an 11-second pit stop because they didn't realize that one of the lug nuts wasn't on for like 5 seconds before they put it back on, and then Hamilton had a 4.2 second pit stop, and that was long compared to what it normally is. So all of that, you're back. All of those conspired to put those two on the track heading into turn 1 at the exact same moment. And the odds are crazy. Anyway,
it's convenient.
It was you know, you can smell conspiracy, but it's awesome viewing. It really
Well,
is.
yeah, and you have it's perfect for viewing and things like that. And you have the one school saying, you know, well, people who've been following Lewis for years are going to defend Lewis. People who have hopped on the Max train, whether that be they just started watching and he's the first driver they've connected with, or they just like the way he drives, they're going to support him. Every one of these incidents can really kind of go either way. Yeah. You really kind of could make an argument for either one. It's not like Lewis just slammed into the back of Max and slung him off the course. That'd be pretty easy. Right. They're complex scenarios involving turns and lines and speeds.
There's a lot of strategy.
It's not that easy.
There are guys with literally PhDs sitting there trying to figure out how to get these guys around the track the fastest way possible, and this is what happened. But in the end,
somebody's engineering degree went into this feud.
Right, in the end, it's just you can plan all you want and do all the strategy you want, but it's two guys with wheels in their hands that decide the whole thing. And neither one of them wants to relent. That's the whole thing. It's fun to watch.
That's where we're at.
Watch it, man. Not this weekend. Next weekend. Set your DVR. Record it. I know it comes on early in the dang morning, and Russia will be no different. It comes on at like 4 in the morning or something like that, 3 in the morning. But the qualifying Saturday, the race is Sunday. It'll be on either ESPN or ESPN2, and I'm not sure which one. It's usually ESPN2. But
that's something that's kind of getting me, is that I happen to be up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
This last race, and that was perfect for this time.
Yeah.
It had just started. I tuned in with like lap 4 or something like that. It was like, oh, this is perfect.
Perfect.
But the next one I have to be up at 4 a.m.
earlier
to watch.
But just record it.
That might be what's hard about F1, is that you kind of have to follow the times if you want to watch it live. If you don't feel like you can stay away from your phone
that's
long
a
enough,
thing.
or an update long enough, which is my issue. I'll get updated on it, and I'll forget to turn off one of the many apps I have, and they'll update me say such and such happened. And I'm like, dang it, I don't need to watch.
That happened to me last weekend, and I've fixed it since then. So hopefully that won't happen again. But I literally record it Saturday morning, watch it either Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and then record the race on Sunday, and I try and watch it in the morning, but usually about 6 in the morning here or 7 in the morning here, regardless of what time it comes on.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's exciting. People, I've been telling you this for I don't know how many weeks now, but it is exciting. I promise you'll like it if you watch it. Even if you're not a real race fan, it's interesting to watch.
Yeah. I'll tell you, some of the races are boring enough. It's perfect. You can fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like laps 20 on to like lap 50. You take a little nap. It's nice. It's nice
2 o'clock. You record it, play it about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it's nap time. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you fall right asleep.
Perfect. You wake up, you get to see the end of the race. It's kind of fun.
And if it wasn't what you expected when you wake up, then rewind it and start watching the dang thing. Anyway, let's talk about the Portland Timbers.
Okay.
Who are making a charge right now. They beat the Vancouver Whitecaps 1-0 on an own goal in the 66th minute on Friday night. Felipe Mora's shot was deflected into the net by Vancouver's Ranko Veselinovic. And I said it right, believe it or not. And that held up as the match's only goal. It was Portland's third straight road win and moved the Timbers to the 5th spot in the West. Portland is playing Colorado right now, I think. And what I'd really like to do is find you the update on that to see where we're at.
It's 0-0 at halftime.
There it is. I see it. Yep, 0-0 at the half in Denver. Well, it's just outside of Denver. Anyway, but Portland's making a move. This is what happens every year. Portland tends to struggle at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they find their rhythm, and the world's good. And I don't know why it's that way. I have no idea, but it just seems to be a recurring thing. Parker's kind of, I don't know what's going on today, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there. You're back.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Go ahead.
Mid-late show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. Mid-late show, my wife comes home with her 4 connected devices. And then immediately when she walks in the house, they all reconnect to the internet.
Yeah.
And then they all start pulling from it. And I'm running on a wireless connection. I don't have it wired in. So it's bound to happen eventually. So I'm going to blame it on her. And when I get downstairs, I'm going to be like, turn off your damn Wi-Fi when you get in the house.
So here's your Eastern Conference standings. It's still New England. New England's the best team in Major League Soccer right now. They've won 17 of their 25 games. They got 55 points. That's your current standings right now in the East. If we scroll down here, you can see the Western Conference and the 13 teams in the Western Conference. Seattle leads by 2 over Kansas City, but there's Portland in 5th, moving up, and they play Colorado. If they can manage to squeeze out a win or a tie, even a tie is good on the road, but if they can manage to squeeze out some points against Colorado, next couple games are against Real Salt Lake and LAFC, who are behind them. They can put some distance. Portland does this every year, I think. Maybe I'm just wrong, but it feels like Portland does this every year. They start out and go, meh, and then at some point in time they realize they're a good soccer team again, and they start playing well. I don't know if it's just combinations or what. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like that.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
Yeah, let's talk about NFL. Let's talk about the last thing we're going to talk about tonight, which is that Monday Night Football game between the Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. If you didn't see that, it's probably one of the best football finishes I've ever seen, just in general. I mean, maybe not the best one ever, but it's going to be good. It was one of the best things I think I've ever seen. So anyway, Baltimore loses to Las Vegas 33-27. That was the final in overtime with 27 seconds left in regulation. Justin Tucker hits a 47-yard field goal, gives Baltimore the lead, 27-24. Las Vegas marches down the field. Daniel Carlson hits a 55-yarder to tie it and send it to overtime. Las Vegas gets the ball first, right? And they appear to score on a Derek Carr to Brian Edwards 33-yard pass. They rule him down, which was the right call, right?
Yes, it was.
On review, his knee was down, and the ball was short about a half a yard.
It seemed obvious on review.
Yeah, so they get the ball at the half-yard line right now. So Las Vegas, first and goal. All they got to do is score a touchdown, and the game is over. They tried to do a quarterback sneak from the half-yard line. Doesn't work. Although I think Derek Carr got in.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I feel like they stopped it a little early. That's probably what they did, and otherwise it's a score. It looked like he got across. Okay.
I saw it that exact same way, that he got in and that they stopped it.
Okay, so then second down, and they get a 5-yard false start from Alex Leatherwood, their tackle. So now it's second and goal from the 6. Incomplete pass. Carr has to throw it away on second down. So third down comes up, and he throws a pass for Hunter Renfrow that goes right through his hands and ricochets off of Deshaun Elliott's helmet, eventually comes down in Anthony Averett's hands for Baltimore, interception, and whatever, which I don't understand. So
I'm not entirely sure of it either.
So they put the offense back on the field, and the very next play is what I want to show you, because I don't understand the okay, 43-yard field goal, we can make that on second down. Let's go. 48-yard field goal? No, we can't make that. Although that same kicker kicked a 55-yard field goal to send it to overtime. So I don't know what happened, but here's the last play of the game if you missed it from Monday Night Football, and I don't know where my play button is. Boy, I'd love to be able to hit the play button, but I don't see it. Awesome. That's not
it. It's just underneath your thing. You have to scroll up there. You have to get out, like let the menu drop down.
What a ball game we tonight. Can't lose any yards here. Gonna throw. Drake picked up the pressure. All alone is Zay Jones, and he will prance into the end zone for the touchdown and the victory in overtime for the Raiders. And this celebration is for real.
Yeah, so that was clip was courtesy of B Sports. That's Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and Louis Riddick on the call for ESPN. That was an epic finish to a football game, was it not? Was that not great?
It was incredible. And also, Zay Jones is a fantastic receiver. He does not get nearly enough time, but that was a fantastic football game. Give you all the emotions, up, down, left, and right.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was
which is what you want in a game that you don't care about.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get this thing to go away, and now I can't get my little bar at the bottom to go away. Technical difficulty. Sorry, guys. Hold on just a second. I want to hit this button, but I don't want to hit this button. I'm afraid it'll do something. Nope, I can't get rid of it. So I have no idea how to get to my other stuff. Awesome. Okay, so anyway, Lamar Jackson's 2 lost fumbles turned into 13 Raider points. How big, Parker, do you think Josh Jackson's injury was? Because it's first and goal from the half-yard line, and they decided to sneak it. Not that they wouldn't have anyway, but, I mean, they got a guy like Josh Jackson, and you'd think they'd just hand the ball off 3 or 4 times and try and get in the end zone. Are you there?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure who Josh Jackson is.
Oh, isn't that the running back? Josh Jacobs, I'm sorry.
Josh Jacobs,
the running back for
okay,
Las
that
Vegas.
makes way more. So you were mixing Josh and Lamar.
I'm looking at Lamar,
and I was like, "Who are you talking
Josh
about?"
Jacobs, yeah.
No, that's huge. You should be able to give it to a running back, but more specifically, you should be able to give it to a fullback. And even more specifically, your offensive tackle shouldn't commit a penalty to shove you back a bunch of yards on short yardage plays. Shouldn't happen. You don't need Josh Jacobs to win right there. You need discipline. Yeah. And you need execution. Those are the things you need. Josh Jacobs might help those things, but it's not essential to winning that game, but it will be essential down the stretch because they're going to have to win games earlier. They're going to have to get points on the board earlier, and it's going to be huge that he's not around.
Yeah, it seemed like he was hurt on almost every play in the second half. When they got done, he was struggling. So
yeah, he was not having the best of days, that's for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Aside from this Monday Night Football game, what do you think was the best football game of the weekend? And I'm going to give you 3 options, but you can pick whatever you want. Kansas City beats Cleveland 33-29. But that game was kind of decided halfway through the fourth quarter.
Right.
Dallas and Tampa Bay on Thursday night. Tampa wins it on a field goal, 31-29 as time expires. Cincinnati beats Minnesota 27-24 in overtime. Or was it a different game that I'm not thinking of that was the better game?
So, kind of working through those. So you have Tampa Bay's game, right? It came on. They got in position on the heels of an uncalled offensive PI.
Oh yeah.
It takes the wind out of the game. It takes the respect out of the game. So that one is it's effectively out. Cincinnati, it just does. I just don't really care that much. Right? Cleveland, Kansas City, that was a great game. But you're right. It was pretty much done with like 5 minutes left. That's a long time in terms of viewing time. 5 minutes, 5 football minutes.
Yeah.
By the time it's over, you're like, all right, this was going to happen. Come on, let's just move along. The best game of the weekend in terms of your expectations versus the result was New Orleans Green Bay. New Orleans Green Bay just sent your mind spiraling in terms of what you were expecting, and then what you were expecting. Maybe Jameis to throw 3 picks and 3 touchdowns. Rodgers throws 3 or 4 touchdowns, leads a game-winning drive. You can get any of that. You got Rodgers throwing the game possibly on purpose, and you've got Jameis Winston being as efficient as humanly possible on the other side with his passes. It was a fantastic game to watch. It was one-sided, but that didn't change the fact that when you were watching it, you were kind of excited the whole time.
Yeah, you're right. In the middle of it, I'm like, what am I watching? How is this happening? And I, as much as I want to say that I don't think Aaron Rodgers would do that, there's that part of me that's
that
going,
dude was smiling a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't.
He was joking on the sideline. They pulled the whole starting unit for the most part, except for some linemen. But he's way too happy for a guy that's thrown 3 picks on 4 passes.
He had 0 fantasy points. If you had Aaron Rodgers, he had 0 fantasy points. It was ugly.
There are a lot of people that picked him up early.
Yeah, it was just an ugly game. And if that's how his season's going to be, there's going to be he's going to be on the waiver wire shortly.
Yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah. All right, so let's also talk about the fact that the West is the best. The AFC West and the NFC West combined to go 8-0 in their 8 football games. And I'll be honest with you, the Chargers-Washington game was probably the closest one of those games, really, that the Chargers won, in the fourth quarter. The rest of them were kind of blowouts. I mean, not really. I mean, San Francisco was blowing out Detroit at one point. They did come back, but it was, I don't know. I feel like the West was just good looking. Every team in the West looked good. Kansas City came back to beat a good Cleveland team. That's a good team with a good defense, and they still scored 33 points. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs scoring 33 points is low for them.
Yeah. It just seems weird, and I didn't anticipate that being a thing or that it could ever happen. And it's probably, like we've talked about, it probably happened before, but I've never really paid attention to the fact that the West went 8-0. The NFC North went 0-4. They were the only division to be winless. So there's that. But that's part of that Green Bay debacle too.
Yeah. The next question is, what game was the most disappointing to watch?
I think that also was Green Bay, New Orleans, in the same exact. I was expecting the Rams Chicago to be better.
Yeah, that's the game I was thinking of, but that's because I want them to stop goofing around. Just put in Justin Fields. What are you doing?
Yeah, they said he won't start before week 4.
What are you trying to convince me he's going to learn in the next 3 weeks? He's going to learn pocket presence, patience. Is he going to learn about how to read blitzes better? What is he learning in 3 weeks?
What if he does?
It's so critical.
But what if he does? What if what if that is exactly what he picks up and becomes a Hall of Famer because he sat out 3 weeks?
I feel like I mean, look at guys like Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert was less of a touted person as Justin Fields.
Right.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
We're doing fine.
Right.
So what's the deal here? If you think Justin Herbert, I keep calling Herbert isn't as good of a quarterback as Justin Fields, why is he not starting?
Right.
What is your commitment to Andy Dalton? Man, to hell with that guy.
I don't
Cut
know
him,
why.
bounce him, whatever you got to do. Put him in a backup spot. He'll be happy to make a lot of money and not have to compete anymore.
And you still have the ultimate backup in Nick Foles.
Right. He'll lead you to a Super Bowl if you're careful.
If Justin Fields goes out, yeah, he's the guy.
Just
I
don't
don't
use
know.
him before like week 9.
I don't know.
He's only got like 6 weeks left in him, then he
he
gets hurt.
he can only play it 3 or 4 weeks a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. So interestingly, also the NFC and AFC both went 8-8 in week 1, which I don't know that I've ever seen either. That's a whole nother thing. So, I don't know. That was kind of interesting to me. Yeah, let's look at week 2 in the NFL. It looks like this, and here's your games. This is courtesy of ESPN. It looks like this. And your Thursday night game there, New York at Washington, and in kind of a who cares football game. Which one of these football games are you most excited to watch this week?
Either Kansas City, Baltimore, or Dallas, LA. One of those two is going to be fantastic because I feel like Kansas City, Baltimore, you got the running quarter, got that wave of guys, that whole thing. I'm excited to watch that happen, but I don't know. I mean, I like Justin Herbert. Obviously, he's a Duck. That's all great and well. Yep. And I don't like the Cowboys. So I want to see if the Chargers can handle the Cowboys. I don't think they will, but I want to see if it can happen.
I'm interested to watch. There's 2 games I'm interested in, both in the AFC. So the Buffalo-Miami game, not just because I'm a Miami fan, but because if Miami were to beat Buffalo, they'd have a 2-game lead on Buffalo after 2 games. That would be huge. And then there's the Pittsburgh-Las Vegas game because I think both those teams are lucky to be 1-0. And and I feel like that's going to be an interesting football game at Pittsburgh. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but it is 2 1-0 teams. One of them is going to be 2-0 and have a division lead at that point. It'll be interesting. And I think maybe the Cincinnati-Chicago game will be interesting because I think Chicago's better than they played against the Rams. But
like start Fields,
like you said, it's going to need some Justin Fields attention. But how different is that Chicago Rams game if Andy Dalton comes right down on that first drive and actually throws a touchdown instead of a deflected interception? It's different. The whole game's different. It feels different.
And Andy Dalton at times seems like a symptom of situation. Like, oh well, he threw a perfect pass. It got deflected off somebody's hands, or somebody didn't catch it, or it bounced off their helmet and then got picked. He seems like that he could be that kind of guy who's constantly being involved in situations that are not necessarily his fault.
Right.
But as you watch him more and more, you start realizing, man, he's not the sharpest passer. He's not the sharpest, at reading the defenses. He's not quite elite. He's not quite there, which the top 32 NFL quarterbacks should be elite. The fact that we have quarterbacks in this league who aren't good and starters is a shame.
It is.
Because that talent is there. And you're just ignoring it somewhere else, Zach Wilson's starting a team right now, and Zach Wilson, I think, is less prepared to be a starter than Justin Fields.
How do you feel about RG3 telling Washington to call him? He said,
I think it's funny.
He says,
I think RG3's got a good sense of humor about his injuries and stuff.
I mean, because Fitzpatrick goes down, and now they need a quarterback. So, call me.
Well, but Heineke did really well
last
year. He had a couple games. He did fantastic. He's still kind of a mobile quarterback. He actually reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones, but with more leg. But the fact that Daniel Jones is a starter in this league is preposterous. How are we so comfortable settling for mediocrity in the NFL?
And here's the thing. You've got and we watched you watched Marcus Mariota take one snap against the Ravens and run for 31 yards.
Yeah, he got hurt too.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a guy who's like probably the highest paid backup in the league. I'm not sure that's true, but I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say that. And why is he not a starter somewhere? Because he's got the talent, but he's there. So I don't know why someone's.
From what I understand, he had the offers on the table to leave, and he chose to stay with the Raiders for one more year.
I'll be honest with you. If someone paid me a lot of money to be a backup quarterback, I would do it too.
Well, he did the one play. He got hurt. The Raiders are actually being investigated right now because they left him off their injury reports.
Ooh.
Yeah, they didn't announce it, which kind of influences, some other things. Derek Carr has an injury history, and now if Marcus is hurt, how does that affect? He sat there on the sideline, standing next to Gruden and things like that, but apparently he was hurt, and they're worried it might be a long-term injury.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out.
It is.
We'll find out more. So we talked about the trivia question. you remember the
Yep.
trivia question? And then you said you have one for me. So let's talk about the trivia question.
Yeah.
The Stave and Stone trivia question brought to you by Stave and Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, is open 7 days a week from 12 to 6. It's got indoor and patio dining. Also, let me scroll down here so everyone can see it. The downtown tasting room at 210 Oak Street is also open from 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. You can call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750 for reservations. Or you can go online here, and if you look, you can just literally click this little blue box right here. It says make your reservation now. Make a reservation because of COVID and the spacing and social distancing and all that stuff. Make sure that you get a spot. If you want to go out there and taste the wine. Award-winning wine, it's fantastic. Their charcuterie boards are fantastic. It's a fantastic place. Just go out there and you'll love it. Anyway, that's Stave and Stone Wine Estates, wine with personality. Trivia question was, do you remember?
Yeah. What's the lowest record to make it into the playoffs?
Yeah,
for the MLB?
what's the worst record to ever make the MLB
And
playoffs?
who and when?
Who and when. Yeah. All three parts. You got all three? You do. Go.
Well, I have. So I'm going to guess that the record, I doubt that anybody less than 500's ever made it in. So I'm going to just guess like 80 and 82. Well, I guess that's less than 500. What would we say? 81, 81. We'll say 81, 81 as the record. And that's plain cut, 162 games in half.
Right.
So that's what I'm going with the record. As far as the team, I have no clue. I know that the teams down in California made a lot of buzz, so I'm going to go with the Angels.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with late 90s. Let's say like 98.
Okay. So you're wrong on all three. But let's just say I'm going to give you some credit. The record was 82 and 80.
Oh my gosh.
So
I
you were
said
right.
80 and 82, and then
You
I
were
said
right
81,
there.
81. If I'd have kept going.
So the record was 82 and 80. Wow. I don't even have my things up. My slides. So I don't even have the pictures. So anyway, we'll go back to every question slide. Anyway, so the record was 82 and 80. It was the 2005 San Diego Padres. You were right for California. So
Yeah, it was close.
I'm going to
It was
give
in
you
the neighborhood.
I'm going to give you a half credit on half of this stuff. So that's about a quarter credit. Anyway,
Okay.
but still, yeah, and it was 2005. 2005, San Diego Padres won the division at 82 and 80.
Damn.
So that's how bad that division was. And I only say that because the National League East looks the same way right now. Atlanta's
Yeah.
probably going to win more than 82 games, but not many more. I mean, if they got more than 85 or 86, I'd be surprised. So they're headed that way. But anyway, there's a chance that they could do something and tie it. But anyway, so they were swept.
Sure.
The Padres were swept out of the playoffs by St. Louis that year. It was pretty bad. So anyway, I know, pretty exciting, right? I mean, I come
Yeah,
up.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go.
Okay, so we talked about Formula One.
Yep.
So the question is, what year
Mhm.
was Lewis Hamilton's first F1 championship, and who is he driving for?
What year was Lewis Hamilton's first championship? And what year?
Or sorry, and who is he driving?
Who
for?
is he driving for? Who is he driving for?
Yeah.
Okay. So, wow. I just started watching this last year.
I know. That's
and-
what makes it so exciting.
His first championship. So he's won 7, right?
He's won 7, correct?
He's won 7. So that puts me in a fairly good position to guesstimate the year. And because he's won like 4 or 5 in a row. So this is 21, 20, 18, 17. Let's say 2013.
That is incorrect.
It's incorrect.
It's earlier.
It's earlier than 2011.
Earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
2009?
Earlier.
Wow. How long has he been racing?
2008 was his first championship. He started racing in 2007.
Really?
That's correct. That's correct. And now, who is his team?
I want to say McLaren.
McLaren is correct.
Look at that.
McLaren is correct. So, yeah, he was racing for McLaren. His first year was 07, and he won his first title in 08.
Wow. There you go. So he won his first title in 08. Now he's older than he seems because he doesn't look
Yes.
very old. You know what I mean? He's got to be 30 something, right? So, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem or doesn't act.
He
or
was
doesn't look
22 when he won his first one. So
Okay.
that was 2007. He was 22. So some odd years later, yeah.
So he's the veteran. He's the wily veteran now at this point, right?
Yeah, he's currently 36 years old.
Okay. Wow, that's good stuff. That was a good question. I like that one.
Yeah, not bad. Had layers to it. It was about something we don't normally ask about. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. So that's all we have for today. We're going to be back next week. More college football, week 3, right? NFL news, lots more NFL games and scores and lots more excitement, and we'll cover the exciting things. The MLB, we'll actually talk about Major League Baseball a little bit more because we're going to be real close to the end of the season and the playoff races and what's going to happen at that point. We'll talk about the MLS some more. The Timbers are winning, so that's a good thing. Of course, we're going to talk about Formula One. I don't know what we'll talk about next week because there is no race, but we might have something. We'll see what we can dig up. And then, of course, a whole bunch more stuff because we always have stuff. So, again, we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. Email us, lammsports@gmail.com. We want to thank our sponsors, right? Boss Kitty Yarns, Stone Wine Estates, The Range in Yakima. I want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, Sky Sports, V Sports, and D4 Sports for their clips and their coverage. This has been a Brain Rock production division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening.